All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X Zone, everyone. It is yours truly, Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone at xzoneradiotv.com on all social media sites. X-Zone Radio TV, that's X-Zone Radio TV, and our main website, where you can listen to the X-Zone 724 365 is www.xzoneradiotv.com. And don't forget, you can also call in to listen to the X-Zone Radio Show on your cell phone, on your regular phone, by calling 213-401-0080. My guest this hour is Sasha of Sasha Talks. She brings over 15 years of experience of the spiritual realm by working with private and commercial clients globally of all faiths, backgrounds, and lifestyle preferences. She provides spiritual counseling, life coaching, and self-development services. She holds a BSBA and MBA in global management from private institutions within the U.S., as well as she specializes in organizational and human behavior, which grants her a broad base from which to approach many topics. These tools drive her corporate career by executing diverse business strategies in the realm of operations management and human relations. As an accredited CHC and CLSC professional, Sasha works with clients seeking alternative forms of holistic wellness and life coaching. Her coaching is tailored carefully to reflect the goals of her clients. Now, to complement her practical endeavors, she is a naturally born clairsentient and clairvoyant who began experiencing her gifts at the age of 5. Joining me now is Sasha of SashaTalks.com.
Thank you, Rob, for having me.
Oh, it's a great pleasure having you with us, Sasha. So at the very young age of 5, you realized, or somebody realized, that, hey, this young lady is a clairvoyant. She's clairsentient. How did that happen?
Of course, being a young kid, you don't realize that until somebody starts reacting to what you say and what you do. Mm-hmm. And I believe my mother comes from a lineage of intuitives, but being born abroad and coming from a culture where they don't talk about spirituality that much, or quote-unquote the psychic or metaphysical realm, my mother was always aware of, I guess she paid a lot of attention to me, because I realized my mom mm-hmm. and her sister would always be more, I would say, cognizant when I would be in their surroundings, because I believe that they were aware that I was sensitive to spirits, and I was able to pick up on certain things that people would overlook. Something that's very logical. How come kids are very, I would say, very truthful or honest?
Right.
Because the soul is still vibrating from the other realm. And as we grow older on the earth realm, we start to learn how to filter. And I guess during my unfiltered years, my mom realized that a lot of the things that I would say or do or share over time, they would unfold on their own. But I wouldn't call that a prediction, because children don't know what predictions are.
How do you use your gift, your metaphysical gift, as a life strategies coach?
The intuitive readings that I offer, I do energy readings. And one of my specialties is that I could read into a situation in terms of one's intention mm-hmm. and the circumstances that are surrounding them. And at times I pick up, I would say, messages from the other realm that could assist the individual in question in navigating forth. Because when we talk about life coaching, a lot of people view it only from a practical perspective, mm-hmm. that there has to be a formula present for an individual to embrace. And if they follow those steps, they will attain their goal. I do believe that there is a formula for everyone, but our energy is similar to our DNA. It's very specific. So what I apply my gifts to customize the guidance that comes through from the other side, and then I offer them the practical guidance that they need. So you align the spiritual and the practical in order to grow and move forward.
All right, Sasha, please stand by. You and I have to take a 2-minute commercial break. We'll be right back. Exonation, our guest this hour is Sasha from Sasha of SashaTalks.com. That's SashaTalks.com. And she is a life strategies coach and intuitive. And once again, her website is... All right, do you have your pencils and paper ready? Because here we go. SashaTalks.com. This is the X Zone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV, and our website, our main website, where you can listen to the X Zone 724-365, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Sasha and I return on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break. Don't go away. Welcome back, everyone. Sasha of SashaTalks.com is our special guest this hour. She's a life strategies coach and intuitive, and her website is www.sashatalks.com. Sasha, do you believe that all people are innately intuitive?
I believe that people are intuitive, and I believe the seed of intuition resides in all of us. And just like anything, the more we apply it, it will grow stronger over time. I believe that there are those that are blessed with the gift of intuition, and those who listen, they know that it will serve them well. And sometimes when we go against intuition, not good things don't happen. And it's a learning lesson, and there's a learning curve that comes with it. But yes, I do believe that people are intuitive.
How do you perceive the paranormal?
Actually, my friend and I, we joke about this because she loves the paranormal, and I view the paranormal as the other realm, where you're working with spirits and messages that come across. We live on, obviously we're inhabiting the earth. We're living on earth time, and when we communicate and deal with people, we are in a physical form. And when I look at the paranormal, I think of spirits and more about clairaudience, the ability to listen. And that's where we have to learn how to coexist with the other realm. I still believe that when we pass on, our soul just changes form. It leaves behind the body, but it then moves on to the next realm.
Why do you think there's so much interest these days in this present time of our earthly existence, where more and more people seem to be looking to intuitives and mediums and psychics for answers?
That's an interesting question. I believe everybody has a different perception of it. I will say that the psychic, the metaphysical market has always been consistently growing over time, even in a questionable economy. I feel that people are looking within themselves for answers, and when they cannot speak them immediately, even in the form of convenience, it's much easier for anyone to go online, seek intuitive, or go to keen.com or liveperson.com or bitwine.com. These are all websites that have psychics and many different various metaphysical professionals who could look into your questions. And of course, we all have a heart. The heart has no gender. We have feelings. And I believe that when we live in a practical world, everything is about logic. And when it comes to matters of the heart, people need stronger guidance. And they feel that's where intuitive can come in and help them unravel those challenges and those relationships and emotions.
You know, you mentioned a few websites where people go for quote-unquote psychic readings and people who claim to have an ability, but it's been proven time and time again that the majority of these so-called psychics have no psychic ability whatsoever. It's a job for them. They're given scripts. They're given flip charts with questions answer, and the main thing is to keep the people on the line long enough in order to build up their telephone bill. So how does a listener know, or how does anybody who is seriously looking for psychic abilities, or somebody with an extra perception of what they may be going through, how do they find the real McCoy instead of an internet con artist?
I completely agree with you. I will tell you that I've had previous experience before I even started out reading on some of these sites. To be fair to the businesses, I will say that there are gifted professionals, but it is extremely hard to find the ones that are legitimate versus those that are just working a job and they think that if they read a book, they call themselves a psychic. Now, when people ask me for my credentials, I tell them I did not go to quote-unquote psychic school. To me, that's a little bit blasphemous. Okay. I do believe that there are various skills and knowledge of the metaphysical field where people can acquire degrees. But in order to seek the right reader, I often advise people, even on my shows, what to look for in a reader and what not to look for. And some sites will screen you. But at the end of the day, from a business perspective, because I also come from the corporate world, I know that everybody wants to make money. But I believe that if you offer an ethical service, you're going to be there even 10, 20 years from now and not setting up a website for 5 years and then you're done. My advice to everybody would be listen to your gut. Don't judge the readers based off what they're charging. I will forewarn you, you may get what you pay for. But I don't believe that anyone who's charging $50 per minute will have anything more legitimate to share with you compared to someone who's charging $3 per minute. I am aware that there are some metaphysical associations who will not accept you if you work on any of those sites because they want you to offer a flat fee for a service and not go based off time. Because I will admit that there have been some organizations who did not accept me because my reading style is very compassionate and direct, and I'm not in the business of keeping you on the phone.
So once again, my question to you is, how does somebody know who is a legitimate psychic and who is a con artist?
I would say go based off your intuition. People have to they have to become more mentally engaged than just act as a passive customer.
Well, let me ask you this, Sasha. Sure. If people were able to use their intuition, why would they need the services of a psychic?
I agree with you, but even as I, myself being intuitive, we happen to be able to help others, but at times we cannot help ourselves. So that is where I believe that people have to take a practical approach. What are they trying to seek? Do they want to seek? Are they seeking the truth, or are they seeking pure entertainment? Because I will admit that for a big portion, I run from the term psychic, because I feel when people think of the term psychic, they're thinking of the Hollywood hocus pocus and a crystal ball. And going back to your question, I really believe that word of mouth is helpful in terms of referral and marketing than just logging in the middle of the night and you see a pop-up ad and you're lured into it. It comes down to, are you looking for convenience or are you looking for credibility? Because some of the credible professionals, you might be on a waiting list.
Right.
And if you're looking for a quick answer, you could go on any of these websites and get it immediately.
Or flip a coin.
Yes.
Because we used to do our show at psychic fairs, and I used to have psychics come on the show to do readings for my audience, which I don't do anymore. I will not open up the lines for a psychic because I want people to solve their own problems. I don't want them to get dependent on anything, because whatever a psychic says, a person can, the very next second, change their mind and do something else. So psychic reading isn't anything that's insane, because people have free will. And if if a person is planning to go left and the psychic says, all right, that's a good idea, go to the left, and they go to the right, bang, everything has changed. So why is it that there are those within the, and I'm going to use this very loosely, psychic community, who really believe that they're gifted, they're special, they have the ability to communicate with the other side, they have the ability to tell a fortune, they can solve a problem, they can heal a broken heart, when they're just humans?
Yes, that's what I tell my audience. I'm human first, intuitive second, and I feel that sometimes people give intuitives or just the metaphysical community greater credibility than they'll follow their psychic compared to reading the Bible. I always see the polar differences in people's belief systems, and that's dangerous because that's why I tell people that they have to empower themselves. We already have, thankfully, the majority of us are able to apply logic, and intuition should be used. Intuition of other professionals should be used as a crutch. It's like a GPS, but at the end of the day, they have their free will. They have to make that decision. That phone call for that job interview isn't going to come on its own.
That's right.
You have to drive your energy forward. If you send out all these resumes and you're doing everything in your power, and then you go to an intuitive to know where circumstances stand, will be able to guide you. But at the end of the day, I can't tell you that you have to take that job offer or you should leave your partner or you should get a divorce. I think the psychic realm becomes a little bit dangerous for people when they don't know how to apply the tool. Psychic reading is I would say a healthy tool if a individual of sound mind knows how to apply it. They know when to embrace the message and when to just look at it as face value. But if you have no belief system within you and you're lacking self-esteem and you're relying on another professional to, I would say, grant you a personality, a character, and tell you what to do, then I don't think that professional is a professional. Because there are some people, as in any profession, there's good and bad, that are credible, and then those that are questionable. The ones that are good, they will outlast the questionable ones.
But how can we call any psychic a professional? This is something I've never understood, because what they're doing is they're dealing in an area that isn't regulated, an area that they don't hold any accountability to. There's no set standards. So how can we call a psychic a professional?
When I view the term professional in terms of offering intuitive readings, I have full disclosure on my website, and also when people reach out to me of how I read, what is expected from them, and what I can offer. And I will let them know very much up front whether I would be able to read for them or not. Because I will admit there are people who will come to me and they want me to read on a legal issue, and I tell them I don't do medical readings, I don't do medical diagnosis, and every intuitive out there could only speak on behalf of themselves. But professional in my aspect would be I disclose what I do and what I do not do. And you'd be surprised at the type of requests I get, and they either get overlooked or rejected. And then I let them know that regardless of what message comes across, I'm still respectful in delivering it, whether or not the client will like it, because I would like to believe that they're coming to me for honest reading. And in honest reading, I mean whether something comes across, I will pass it along, good or bad. And even if they don't like it, it's my job to pass along the message.
All right, Sasha, please stand by. We've got to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. X-Zone Nation's Sasha from SashaTalks.com is our special guest. And we'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. We'll be back on the other side of this 6-minute break. Don't go away. Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll free, 800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV, and our main website where you can listen to the X Zone 724 365, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Or you can call 1-800-610-7035, extension 610. Sasha from SashaTalks.com is our guest this hour. And Sasha, what about demonic possession? Do you deal with that?
I do not specialize in that.
Mm-hmm.
All I will say is I remember watching The Exorcist.
Oh, yeah.
At a very, very young age, and that was good enough for me to never think about it. But it does, it does exist out there, and I'm sure there are professionals who deal with exorcisms. But I do believe that entities do have the ability to possess a person. It doesn't always have to be a negative or dark entity. It might be a soul, a spirit that's trying to complete a mission on Earth. Or they passed away too soon, and they're just trying to jump into any body and try to convey a message. I mean, I have experienced that type of occurrence once, and I will never forget that. But in terms of demonic possession, that is not something I'm too knowledgeable about.
So
in terms of how to go about it.
So tell me, what has been the most fascinating experience that you have had dealing with the metaphysical?
The most fascinating? There was one that I cannot forget where I was able to see a spirit. I remember that I was in a busy shopping center. Of course, this was in the U.S. And it's so crowded that it's impossible for even the cop who parked next to me to not notice this. And when I went back to my car, I realized that there was a spirit there asking me for money. It was dressed in black, in a black, I would say, a cloak. It was floating around my car. And even though spirits could take on any language, I don't speak Bedouin Arabic, but I recognized the lady talking to me in that. And she was asking me and showing me her purse that I should give her money. But intuitively, I just knew in that bag there were rocks. There was no money. She didn't need any money. I thought it was a passing spirit. And when I looked into the eyes, I knew those eyes did not belong to that body. It was a very vivid description of that. And all I know is being who I am, and I run some spooks, I just got in my car reversed. I didn't even look if a car was coming, and I left. And when I left, in my rearview mirror, I saw the spirit passing by.
Why do you think the spirit targeted you?
Generally speaking, I feel spirits appear when they can sense that certain people could see them. At times it is for attention, and in hindsight, I forgot that the area where I went to pay a phone bill at a shop, and I walked out, there was a cemetery about 2 to 3 miles from that location. And sometimes passing spirits will make it known. There was an incident where I was working out of a temporary office, and of course I was in the studio alone because I owned the office at that time. For a year, the fire alarm would go off every time I would do readings or energy work. And by energy work, I mean prayer or candle, nothing of any other nature. And whenever there would be a spirit, I believe, the fire alarm would go off in the entire floor. And then I would vacate, and then I called the front desk saying, okay, are we allowed to go in? And they would say, there is no fire alarm.
So what attracts these spirits to you?
I believe that initially when I started doing this work, and I made it known, I feel that the more I started applying the energy to help other people and read, spirits pick up on that. And when they feel that this person's going to grant me attention, or I could, startle them off, because some of them have a sense of humor, others just want attention, they present themselves in different ways. They will not always come up appear in a physical form. They might have a sign, or the fire alarms got a little bit too much that I said, okay, I am shifting locations. And I think every spirit has a different way of communicating, and sometimes they don't even realize that they are in your vicinity, and they may just be passing by.
So,
or there might be history attached to the area where you are or the land you inhabit, and they want you out.
So this spirit who was causing the fire alarm to go off in the office where you were doing your energy healing, once you moved, the haunting stopped?
Yes. Actually, it's funny because I was in that building for about a year and a half, too. Mm-hmm. When I was on the second floor, nothing happened. It was just such an ideal place to do my work. And then when I moved to the third floor, because they were doing renovations, mm-hmm. that is when it started. And I swear to God, it could be in the middle of the night. It would always get the same reaction from me. Whether it was 3 in the morning, 10 in the morning, I would never get accustomed to them. So I always kept a coat by my door saying, okay, if the alarm goes off, I'm ready. And once I left, it ended. It ceased.
Why wouldn't that spirit have followed you to the next location if it was haunting you or being attached to you?
I don't feel it was specifically targeting me. I feel it was the area, because I actually had a undisclosed professional. I questioned them about it, and I said, I've been noticing that. Is this for face value that this is a faulty fire alarm? Because I have a problem when other people, my neighbors, claim that they didn't hear anything, and it's such a loud alarm. And she said, no, it appears that there was someone that had passed away years and years ago, and they're just trying to seek someone's help to help them close whatever they had an incomplete mission. And I don't know what that lady's incomplete mission was, but I feel it was maybe a female and a male spirit, not just one.
So did I understand you just said that other people in the building did not hear the alarm? You were the only person who was able to hear it?
Yes, and the thing was, every now and then, just for security measures, 2-3 times a year, any business building will have a fire alarm just to make sure things are working fine. Well, for those, everybody would hear it, but I used to encounter about 2 to 3 per week average, and I hated picking up the phone and calling the front desk for security saying, is this a real alarm? And they would say, we didn't hear any alarm. And of course, you don't want to take things for granted, regardless of any hour that I heard it. I always vacated the area.
Is it possible that the alarm was, if you'll excuse my bluntness, in your head?
Actually, no, because once I did question that. And I had a male friend who dropped by because I was sharing this story with him, and I said, I bet you when you're sitting here, nothing's going to happen. The first time he dropped by for tea while I was working, nothing happened. But the second time he dropped by, he witnessed it himself. And I said, okay, thank God it's not me. And he is one of the most practical people out there.
So how would you...
All about math and science.
So how do you explain the people in the building, in the next offices to you, didn't hear this alarm? There was no record of the alarm. The front desk was unaware of the alarm, and yet you heard the alarm.
Right. Well, I'm thankful that my neighbors weren't too curious of why they always see me leaving at odd hours and then coming back in, because I always followed protocol just in case there is a real alarm. And I think I got away with it at that time. But I had one close friend of mine who's into the paranormal, and she understands this very well, and she did validate that this isn't in your head, and you're not doing anything, burning candles and you're setting off the alarm. This is happening sporadically, where the alarm could ring for 10 seconds and it would stop, or it could ring for 2 minutes and I have to walk out. I don't have a choice. Well, I have a choice to stay there, but you don't want to take it for granted.
Now, when you do energy work, what kind of energy work do you do?
Everyone works differently. I work specifically with spiritual prayers of gratitude. It's not attached to any religious faith. And I could burn a candle, similar to some people who burn a candle when they go to church, and it has set intention, a petition. If you want to improve your health, or you just want abundance, or just a peace and harmony. And that's how I do my energy work.
What is the difference between witchcraft or spell casting and energy work?
I'm not too familiar with witchcraft, but I would like to believe that if somebody comes to me and they say, "Oh, Sasha, do you do spells?" I tell them no, because the type of spells they're probably thinking of is there's white light spell where you want harmony and attract great positive things, and then there's the dark ones where you want to go and break up people's relationships. And I tell people a spell to me would be a positive white light prayer.
Right.
You're basically driving energy towards manifesting a goal. And I tell people, don't only rely on a prayer or burning a candle. Those are just maybe like 5% of the overall formula in manifestation. You have to believe it, not only in your mind, but in your heart. And you have to drive the energy by putting your energy behind it, not hiring any professional out there to do the work for you. And I think that's where people fall short of understanding that no one is going to deliver that perfect job, that perfect husband, wife, anything that you want at your door. You have to
work for it.
The universe halfway. Yes.
Sure. So when you're doing your spiritual healing, are the people there, or is this done long distance via the phone, via Skype? How do you do it?
Well, for the readings and the coaching sessions, at the moment I do them through their voice vibrations. And if they would like me to put a candle at my altar, which is just for prayers and abundance, I will do that gladly. But it's all done virtually and remotely. And if they're curious for a prayer and the candle stuff, usually I take pictures after I do it per client and send it back their way to let them know that it was done. And it's specific per individual. I don't believe in doing group healings unless I showed up at a location and it was an intimate group who decided they wanted me there before them, and we worked through whatever they would like me to address.
So basically, let me ask you this, because I'm a little confused as to the difference between a spiritual healing and a spell, or because isn't it the intent of both a spell and a spiritual healing or a prayer? And I find it rather uncanny that in spell work, as well as in what you do with the spiritual healings, candles are involved.
I think that there is an overlap.
Okay.
If you're looking for attracting the right job, the right partner in that. But when I look at the word spell work, I perceive it a little bit differently, because while growing up, I always looked at it as, it's only a pagan activity, because my grandmother's extremely old school, and that's something you don't think about or talk about, because some people automatically think of spell work as dark magic and the dark side, where you will go to all the ends of all means to get what you want, regardless of who gets affected negatively. And there is good magic. I do believe that exists. I am not too knowledgeable about it, because that's not exactly my niche or field. But if you were to say, I do spiritual work with spiritual blessings and prayers and burning candles, and you don't necessarily need a candle. A candle is just I would say a focus point.
So
more about mind over matter.
If a candle is a focus point and it really has no significance, especially since you do long distance or voice vibrational healings, what would be the sense of putting a candle? And here's another connection with spellcasting, on your altar. Sure.
Well, I use the candle for two reasons. One, to see the vibrations of it, because everybody has a different, I would say, formula that works for them. For me, when I burn candles, I could sense the heat and the vibrations of how strong things are and where you need to keep driving the energy forward. That's just for me to gauge. But some people may just consider affirmation or a prayer. Everybody works differently. For me, candles are just a form of, I would say, they don't serve only an aesthetic purpose, but for me, I could just look at the vibrations through the flames. I don't read candle wax or anything of that nature, but it just gives me an idea of how much work is needed for a specific individual if they're coming for healing or they're leaving chemotherapy. I'm not a medical doctor, but I do work on medical cases where they feel that they've exercised all means possible and now they want just some spiritual healing, someone praying on their behalf.
Why would somebody not go to a member of a recognized religious philosophy if they wanted prayers, if they wanted spiritual help, where the members of the clergy who are ordained have gone through course after course after course, not only in philosophy but also psychology, religious beliefs? Why would somebody go to a layperson who doesn't have the qualifications or belong to an accredited association?
I at times do question that from a practical perspective, but I also know that some of the clientele that I work with, they do not belong to any specific religion. And at the end of the day, they feel that they will consider any form of means that could help their situation improve.
Sasha, stand by. We've got to take our final break. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We'll be back after this break. Don't go away. Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. Sasha of SashaTalks.com is our guest this hour. She's a life strategy coach and intuitive. Her website is www.sashatalks.com. What mantra do you live by, Sasha?
I feel over the past 5 years I've come to give thanks and pay it forward. I've always been paying it forward, but I feel that mindful living, being more mindful of the choices that we make. At the end of the day, I don't believe there's a right or wrong choice, because even if things don't pan out over time, we do make it right for us. So I would say give thanks and pay it forward.
As a person who deals with life strategies and being an intuitive, do you think that the world we're seeing today that is filled with negativity beyond belief, we have conflicts going on in several theaters of the world. We heard today where China has the ability to interrupt our power grids, our air traffic control systems. We have racial problems that are once again lifting its dirty head in Ferguson and other places around the United States. We have global warming. What encouragement can you give our listeners about the world that we have today and the world that we will have tomorrow?
I feel people take more notice about what's going on with one another's life or their neighbors, or they're always looking outwards for answers. And I feel that only if they cut back of all the time they spend on technology or online, reading about other people, and they invest the same time on themselves, the clarity will come from within. I really do believe that. I feel that there are so many distractions in the world that we live in, and people keep on feeding into the energy of watching other people fail or fall and creating conflict. And unfortunately, bad news spreads faster, and people also get hyped up by it. And I feel that people are more mindful, take a step back and look at themselves and work on their own lives. I feel slowly but surely all of us, which represents a dot, will connect really well. There's a lot of room for improvement, and I also feel that those that are doing great things in the world, they should be acknowledged and encouraged, because these are the times where we unfortunately read about more negativity in the news.
Isn't that true?
What's going on down the street, and we need to be there for one another instead of taking time to put down one another, whether it's online or on social media.
Yeah.
I feel the answers are within us. It's just a matter that's way much easier to look at somebody and judge than look within and know that I have some work to do. And I think we all do. But at the end of the day, I feel there are good people there. This is a good world. You just need to clean it up a little bit.
I believe, Sasha, and I've got less than a minute here. I believe that by people taking too much of the negativity inside, what they're doing is they're just amplifying it and giving it back to the universe at a much greater strength than it was received.
Yes.
Sasha, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Pleasure talking to you. I wish you continued success, and I look forward to the next time you join us here in the X Zone.
Great. Thank you for having me.
You take care of yourself, young lady. Bye-bye now. X Zone Nation, my guest this hour has been Sasha of Sasha Talks. Her website is www.sashatalks.com, and that's SASHTALKS.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And the X Zone is coming to you around the world on the X Zone Broadcast Network, the Good News Radio Network, CNN Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and satellite and radio station providers around the world. We'll be back. Don't go away.